Penalties for the recreational use of cannabis in Guyana are closely related to laws imposed during the 12th century Inquisition. The question regarding the decriminalization of cannabis remains on the front burner. Nightly News first ignited the conversation months ago after 25-year-old indigenous farmer of Monkey Mountain was jailed for 3 years for the possession of 18 grams of cannabis. The issue more recently regained much currency after a local football legend was given the same treatment for a similar offense. The difference is, the masses at this instance rejected the verdict and staged protests in front of the Legal Affairs Ministry. Attorney General Basil Williams said the protests are welcomed, since that is indeed the place for redress. But at the same time, Williams says the government is yet to take a definitive stance on the issue.
This question of marijuana, has been a question that has been around for some time now. I can't tell you definitively what the position of the government is because we haven't addressed this matter in cabinet.
Williams disclosed that provisions have already been made for magistrates to exercise leniency, and that he found it puzzling why these options are not being explored.
In terms of the imposing of sentences, custodial sentences were negligible amongst of marijuana, that, as far as I remember, that matter had been addressed and that magistrates could in fact give community service and things like that. So I'm not sure why these options aren't being addressed.
This is another burning question, but in actuality, the piece of legislation that will need to be reviewed is the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Control Act, which dictates a draconian sentencing policy. The hands of magistrates are tied in the exercise of leniency by this very act. The National Assembly did not seek the views of the public when the House amended legislation regarding the death penalty. But the decriminalization of cannabis will require wide consultation, according to the Legal Affairs Minister.
But in terms of large-scale legalizing of marijuana, you would appreciate that that's something that the government would have to address in cabinet and would have to consult widely in the population, wide consultations on this question.
The Attorney General was then questioned as to why the government doesn't take the lead in ensuring softer penalties for drug offenses. Williams said that could be a bone of contention because not everyone may be supportive of legalizing marijuana. Further, he stated, the people are the deciding factor.
When the government takes the lead, you accuse the government of not being transparent. You accuse the government of all kinds of things. The government is saying the people must make the decision, they must be able to consult with the people.
AFC Chairman and Attorney-at-Law Nigel Hughes is currently spearheading the drafting of amendments to the laws governing sentencing for drug offenses in Guyana. The aim is to strike from the law books that mandatory 3 years sentence and render passe the denial of bail for possession of small amounts of cannabis. For HGP Nightly News, Kingsley Bryan.